Good evening. My name is Thurman Greco, and the name of this program is Let's Live with Thurman Greco, and it comes to you from scenic downtown Woodstock, New York, and from YouTube. And we have a kind of a first on this show. In all the 20 some odd years that I've been doing this show, I have never had anybody whose focus was on the veterans. And so we're very excited. So can you tell everybody your name and the name of your endeavor?
Sure, Thurman. Thank you very much. I appreciate the time. My name is Justin Riccobono. I'm a Army veteran. Live in Gardiner, New York, and we have my family has a farm, a small-scale farm, about 5 acres, called the Patchwork Quilt Farm. And what we've done is my folks have started this farm back in 2006 and opened up a bed and breakfast. Just kind of give you a history of what we've been doing. My father is a Vietnam veteran. He's disabled, and my dad's a chef from the culinary, first graduating class at the Culinary Institute. So he was a cook in the Navy, and then he went to the culinary with the GI Bill. So we have a good history in the military. My father and his stepmother ended up buying an old farmhouse that dates back to 1796 over in Gardiner, New York, and started a bed and breakfast in 2007. Had run that for many years, and then COVID hit. And things kind of stopped a little bit, and then it kind of came back because people could come up. We're located right on the Shawangunk mountain range where Minnewaska and Mohawk is. So we started getting a lot more people coming up from the city during COVID, or just right after things started opening up. But then a couple years into it, 2022, 23, we started noticing that the numbers were dropping considerably. And what was happening, people that had discovered the area started buying up houses, started doing Airbnbs. So now our bed and breakfast ends up having a ton of competition in the neighborhood via Airbnb. So we figured we'd try to do something different and offer something to the community. My dad and I really wanted to work with veterans that are facing challenges post-service. And even service members, that are facing challenges, and give them an opportunity to reconnect to the land on our farm. And we help homeless veterans. We help veterans with post-traumatic stress, traumatic brain injuries.
How many veterans do you have in your place at any one time?
Well, it rotates. So we can have a homeless veteran come in and stay with us for a month or two, or maybe 6 months, and then find a place. We'll help them get back on their feet and give the resources that help them kind of get a fresh start. But sometimes we could have 20 to 50 veterans there. We also do workshops. We teach nutrition, culinary. Our main focus is healing through nature, sun, soil, and ancestral foods.
So when you say you have 40 or 50 people, where do they stay?
These would be people, most of the people are visiting.
Oh, so this would be people coming out for a day program?
For a day program, and then we have 4 rooms in our bed and breakfast, so if something's available and there's a housing emergency for a veteran, we can help service that. And we work with a number of veteran agencies here in Ulster. How did you begin your journey? You began your journey because you realized you had space, and this was an opportunity. But who did you connect with at first to say, we've got this farm, let's do something? How did that go? It was interesting to kind of figure out who do we talk to? I mean, my dad and I, we both go to the Veterans Administration in Castle Point, New York, over in Dutchess County in Beacon. And we started talking to some people over there. My father and I have also been very much involved in farming for the last decade. And we started doing a program in 2016 with a group called Heroic Food, which is a program that helps veterans with tools and training to get into agriculture and farming.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Is that a local program?
It's a local program out of we have out of like Rhinebeck, New York. Is like the main area that we started, but we, you know, of course, we're doing a lot more in the Hudson Valley. And currently, I act as I have a position as a veteran coordinator for Heroic Food, a part-time position. So we do a lot of workshops and a couple of other things. So we started, my dad and I started going to all these different programs that they offered us. It's free, it's for veterans. There's donors and benefactors that help fund this for veterans to learn more about farming. So we started doing a lot of that. And we had a farm already, but we wanted to build it a little bit further and see where it would take us. And then in 2019, they asked me to be part of the board. And then 2 years ago, they asked me to start maybe working part-time and help and facilitate and find some veterans that are in need, that are looking for a change. You know, it's a reintegration program. So a lot of veterans that are coming back from service don't know what they want to do. And a lot of them aren't really going to be that apt to sitting in a cubicle somewhere working for a corporation selling insurance or something. So it's like, get them outside, especially if they have post-traumatic stress disorder, you know, and there's complicated post-traumatic stress, which is very interesting. It's something that we've really been trying to learn and become very empathetic with folks that are having these things and working not only with the veteran but also the veteran's family to understand these things and to try to help navigate through challenges that might pop up here and again. You know, my dad has challenges, I have challenges, so you know, we just felt we wanted to have a nice tranquil healing space at our farm, which we've always felt that farm has that capability. We have a beautiful view of the mountain range. We have a pond. We have a little kitchen there and a farm and a garden. Some farm animals, chickens, rabbits, honeybees.
Now, we were talking about this before the show. What kind of animals? When you say farm animals, what do you mean?
So farm animals for us. I mean, we have. Our program at our farm is really the veterans' farmstead. So it's a homesteading type farm. We do a lot of, canning and growing of vegetables. You know, our whole thing is, what's great about mental health and physical health is high quality foods. My father's a chef. I grew up in the kitchens when I was younger. And we decided we'd open up a little barbecue on our farm back in 2020 when we were able to reopen. We figured, hey, you know what? Let's do a little lunch spot. We have the skills. We had a kitchen there and through the farm, and we started doing Texas-style barbecue. No high fructose corn syrup, no seed oils. We really wanted to get back to ancestral foods. Food the way that it was prepared 50 and 75 years ago. So much stuff is processed and over-processed with additives and everything else. It's like we make our own ketchup, we make our own mayonnaise, we do a lot of fermentation, which is very good for gut health. And it's been very rewarding. My father and I have felt an extreme change. Veterans that come through, we help show them these ways so they can help their
So when
their
you
health as
have
well.
when you have veterans coming through, you have some that are staying there.
Correct.
And do they just participate? I mean, are they out getting eggs in the morning and do?
They are.
They are. So they're just part of the farm.
They become part of the family, and we run it in a family-oriented manner. You know, it's a non-clinical approach, and for us, it's we're just helping somebody that is going through something. We could help them out. We could help them connect with not only ourselves but other veterans, and just kind of what ends up happening. A lot of veterans end up self-isolating, and that could go down a really dark path. So it's just getting them out, getting them together, connecting, not on FaceTime, not on Zoom, but individual, one-on-one, or 1-on-10. So depending on each veteran, some veterans have challenges with large crowds, and we can recognize some of that and try to work from there. But our whole thing is just doing it in a family fashion, family manner. We have dinners together.
So you have a maximum of 4 people that stay with you at any given moment.
True. Yes.
And these 4 stay as long as they need.
True. Yeah. They stay as long as they need, but our whole thing is we're trying to get them back on track. So we'll, typically if a veteran is homeless, we've had a number of homeless vets stay with us. But if a veteran's having a domestic issue and they feel overwhelmed and they need a place to cool off, we want to offer that as well. So a veteran might stay with us for a week just to kind of get back to the earth, decompress, de-escalate things. Maybe we'll get their spouse come over and we'll kind of talk it out and do some of that type of work. And for us, it's about communicating and understanding. So we have varying types of vets that might stay with us, and we're not full all the time, but we try to make ourselves available. Especially now is a very difficult time because it's starting to get cold out. There's a lot of veterans that live in the woods because that's what they choose. But it starts getting too cold, and then they show up at an agency and they're like, I'm out in the cold, and sometimes it takes red tape and a lot of bureaucracy just to get them housed in some cases. And there's a significant shortage of housing today, as you probably know. So it affects veterans as much as anybody else.
Well, I think the housing shortage in the Hudson Valley is critical. I mean,
Yes.
if I were to use one word, that would be it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have this core of the fortunate 4, which come and go,
Right.
but then you made some reference to groups. So do you have like support groups that meet once? Do you have meeting rooms? What is that?
So what we've been doing, we have a number of rooms. I mean, the main house, which was a bed and breakfast, myself, my family, we live on one side, and then we have 4 rooms and a full space, which includes living room, kitchen, dining area for the veterans that are staying there. So we're right there. We live amongst each other. So that's why we talk about having that family environment. And we can have meetings downstairs. We have meeting outside when it's nice out. We have a pergola that we all sit under, typically on a Friday afternoon, and just kind of talk about whatever,
So do therapists or whatever come and join you? Do you have like Tuesday morning groups or Thursday afternoon groups or something? Is it that formal?
Not yet, but it's something we're working towards. So this is something that we've been doing for 2 years. This is our 2nd year. So I would say March of 2024 was when we accepted our first veteran and we started working with this idea and see how it went. We were like, let's try it out, see if it works great. And we've got a lot of younger veterans and older veterans that we work with, which is great because it's very difficult to find that varying age group. There's a lot of veteran agency and organizations out there, and it typically seems like it caters primarily to the Vietnam era and older, VFWs and American Legions. So they have a lot of things. It's typically older veterans that are there. The younger veterans, I'm 50. People my age and younger, they're really never there. And it doesn't seem as if that kind of evolved over time for veterans. So we're trying to create something different. Our age group isn't really, thinking about going to the VFW for a $2 beer and watching the football game or whatever. And I think it's also a matter of there's not as much time as there used to be. People are working 2-3 different jobs just to make ends meet. It's been a very stressful time. For many folks, and we want to just be there for people to talk things out, connect with others. And
do you ever have people that need employment?
We do. Some veterans need employment. Some veterans who have disabilities issues, we help with them too, to try to find the resources, whether it's through the VA or elsewhere in the county or Hudson Valley, and maybe match them up. I mean, our thing is having a veteran get into farming or the culinary arts are kind of the two routes that we've been really working on at our farm, because it seems to be two very easy to transition to employment jobs for veterans. They could be extremely, they're very similar to the military. So there's a lot of things that are very organized in the same fashion when it comes to farming as well as cooking. So it seems as if a lot of veterans are able to really connect in those areas, and and those are very important areas of the fabric of our community. I mean, you need farmers, you need people that know how to cook, and it can help on so many different levels, holistically and physically and mentally, in terms of health practices.
So I'd like to get back to the animals on your farm. I
Sure.
think it's very important for me. This is my perception, that as we go through life, we get disconnected from something that has 4 feet.
Yes.
And part of regaining a connection to the community involves connecting with the animals. I really believe that. And so when you say you have a farm, you say you have bees and you have chickens. Where did the chickens come from?
Eggs. No. Well, I want to say about 5 years ago, a friend of mine who I grew up with, also a service member, veteran, Army veteran, he had a bunch of chickens. He was moving. He was like, I'm looking at selling them. And this was like in 2021. So it was like, during the COVID. And I was like, maybe we need to start getting our own eggs. Egg prices were going through the roof. So we were like, well, we can do it. We have a farm. Maybe we should diversify. And, if we're raising our own eggs, it's the most healthiest egg you can eat.
So you took the chickens.
So took the chickens, the whole thing.
Did they come with their coop?
Came with a coop. Came with a bunch of fencing and, the feeding instruments, the waterer.
So they came, there was a package.
It was a package deal.
You got a package deal.
It worked out. Yeah, it was a good deal.
You got the chickens, and then you had a place for the chickens to live, and the guy told you what to feed them.
Yes.
And drove away.
Yeah, pretty much. That was it.
Tell me, how did you get the bees?
I think bees we also started maybe 4 or 5 years ago. 4 years ago. It was after the chickens.
Did somebody drop off a hive and drive away?
I've always been fascinated. I love honey. Honey and maple syrup are really the only two sugars that we should be consuming as humans.
Yeah.
The high fructose corn syrup is not good.
Forget that one.
But the natural sugars from the earth, and honey is extremely incredible on so many different levels. I mean, it's great for allergies. Taking honey is good for your the pollen, especially if you're really buying it hyper local. So you live here in Woodstock, if you could buy honey that's being raised by bees here in Woodstock, that's the best. And we've tried to use a lot of honey, and once I got a hive, I learned a lot about it. And
so you went out and bought a hive.
I went out and bought a hive.
You bought a hive?
Yes.
Did you get any instructions?
I mean, I've watched a lot of, everything's on YouTube today. So I can go on YouTube.
So you went and bought a hive,
Mm-hmm.
and came home and turned on YouTube.
YouTube was my first level, and then I also went and got some classes. There's a couple of different beekeepers in the area here in Ulster.
Classes.
Yes, there's like the Ulster County Beekeepers Association that we're part of, and I took a couple classes through a few other instructors that were local. And I'm still learning, because it's a very interesting species And I'll tell you, the bees are magnificent, and it's so rewarding just to connect. They say the frequency of the bee's wings, it really connects with the human soul and spirit. So the healing aspect of that is also tremendous. So getting a veteran out there, helping us with the bees. We got the bee suits, so they don't have to worry about getting stung. And they love it. They love it, and it's so different, and it's...
So you went and you bought a hive. How many hives do you have now?
We have 6 hives right now.
But you bought one to begin with.
Bought one to begin with.
And you bought a suit.
Bought a suit.
Now, is there a particular time of the year that you bought this beehive?
Well, we've also had some beehives donated to the farm for the program.
But in the beginning, you had this one hive.
Had one hive, yep.
And where did you find the bee? Did they find you?
The bees, well, there's a couple different ways you can do it. And the way that I
want to know how you did it.
Oh, how I did it. The way that I did it, I ended up, there was a guy locally who has beehives, and he'll sell what's known as a nuke colony. So it's about 300 bees and a queen, and they sell it to you in this package, and then you get this package and you set it up, you shake it into your own hive, and you have food in there for them, and then they take up residency in the beehive, and then you do that in the spring. Best time to do that spring. Swarm season is like April and May.
And he came and he brought you this package of 300 bees.
Yes.
And you put it in your hive, and they didn't fly away.
They can sometimes, but ours didn't.
Yours said, "Okay, this is all right."
Yes.
We got kicked out.
Then they didn't make it through the summer. So then that was like my first learning. It was always a learning experience.
They did not make it through the summer.
I mean, I'm sorry, through the winter.
Through the winter.
Yeah.
So now you're going into and how many winters have you lived with the bees now?
3 winters.
So you're going into your 3rd winter or your 4th?
We're going into our 4th winter.
You're going into your 4th winter. And you've got 6 hives.
Yes.
And some people, you bought this first one, but then some other people have driven up and dropped off hives. When they drop off the hives, do they drop them off with the bees?
Not in this case, no.
You just got an empty hive.
So there was a neighbor of ours in our community, and he does a bunch of work with us. Had a whole bunch of, was also doing some beekeeping, and they were done with it. They couldn't keep the hive. They couldn't keep the bees. The bees left, and they were like, it takes a lot of time. You really need to spend the time with the bees, or they'll take off, I feel. But sometimes there's also diseases and parasites that can also affect them. So it's a learning experience, and you got to be on top of them, and you need to connect with them. So they were done with them. Figured, hey, we'd love to donate these 5 hives.
So now you got 6 hives.
I probably have another 4 or 5 also that I can put together from some of these donations. So I want to keep on building and trying to get more honeybees going because I think it's very important, of course, for
So you have people who come and stay with you, and also people who come for meetings and classes and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And what is their response to the bees?
Not everybody integrates or connects with the bees, but ones that do, they love them. They find them to be fascinating. They learn a lot more about them. Some know some stuff about bees, some don't. But a lot of, I'd probably say at least half the veterans that come through are very interested in the bees and beekeeping and coming out. And
have you had anybody that has come and stayed with you, and then when they finally got themselves together, got a hive?
Not yet.
Not yet. You
Not
haven't
yet.
had enough time yet, I think.
We've only done 2 years, and we've had 8 veterans come through our farm
That's
so far.
not enough people.
Right.
So you've got the bees, because I personally, my personal bias is that you've got the buildings,
Right.
and you've got the people, and you have humans that come, and you do things with the people. But these animals are providing their own therapy. That's my feeling.
That is 100% correct. We had one veteran that arrived at our farm this past April, homeless vet, trying to get back on his feet. lot of post-traumatic stress issues, and he has like 8 TBI, traumatic brain injuries. Was in Afghanistan and Iraq, and coming to that farm, he has completely, come out of his element. He's from like an inner city area, number one, so being on a farm is completely new as it is. And then just going out and working with the chickens, feeding them every morning, giving them water, petting them. The chickens, this is the thing about animals. Animals have absolutely no discriminatory action whatsoever. So, and a chicken's not going to look at you
but
funny.
They perceive.
Animals know. Animals know as
Right.
much. They know who's good, and
They don't have opinions.
they don't have opinions.
They
Right?
don't have biases, but they
Right.
do have perception.
Oh yeah,
So that in itself is therapy.
it is. So working with the chickens and playing with them and fixing their coop gives them purpose, and I'm taking care of something. I mean, just like a dog. There's a tremendous amount. I mean, I have a dog who's helped me tremendously over the years with my battles in post-traumatic stress. But they have a program out there that matches up veterans with service animals, dogs. And just that animal alone, they say the amount of serotonin and value that creates for mental health is incredible. Then there's also horses, healing with horses.
Now,
There's
do
a
you
number
have
of programs.
horses?
We don't have any horses on our farm. It's really not big enough. I might get a donkey, I'm thinking, which could be good, and some goats. But we do work with a couple of other organizations that do have horses, and we'll help connect veterans and send them over to those farms for therapeutic sessions, and they've
they
found
go
them to be incredible.
Neighboring farms. Well, what
Yes.
other animals do you have? You have bees and chickens.
We just picked up some rabbits. 2 weeks ago.
How did the rabbits show up? How did they come to be?
When my family and I started thinking about how we wanted to develop this and have it evolve, we want to have a variety of animals here, which would be great. We only have 5 acres, so we can't bring in beef cattle. We can't really bring in horses, or even hogs for that matter. That'd be very difficult. So we started with the chickens first. Then we had gotten guinea hens. We got turkeys one year.
Did that work?
Oh yes.
Do you still have them?
No, we harvested them for meals, because that's the other thing is we want to also have people understand that there's some self-sustainability here. So if you raise your own animals, you could be also raising your own food, and we're trying to and also introduce a level of business possibilities for veterans as well. They may want to raise their own honeybees. They may want to raise their own meat chickens to rate the roasters, or rabbits for that matter. So the rabbits that we have are meat rabbits, and next year.
Where did they come from?
You know what? I just happened to see somebody on Facebook Marketplace. They're moving. We're giving up our chickens, or I mean our rabbits and the hutch and the house that they live in. And I was like, all right, and they gave me a good deal on it, and my dad and I went out and picked it up, and it's been great. They're beautiful animals, and we're blessed to have.
Are they domesticated?
They're kind of. I guess they're a little bit to a degree, but they live outside. We have the hutch outside. We don't break. They're not in the house or anything like that, or in the barn. But rabbits can live outside. Through the winter. As long as you give them a good warm space. Same with the chickens. So it's been really nice to work with this new livestock on the property. So we went from poultry to bees to rabbits, and maybe next year we'll do some goats and a donkey. I think that might be the extent of what we might be able to do as far as animals on the farm. But it's it's healing, nevertheless.
Well, you can have, with this, you're sticking with the smaller animals,
Right.
So they will connect with the people,
Mm-hmm.
and so you've got this group of animals. You have the people that come, And how do you decide, if you decide, because fate is playing a part in a lot of this, but how do you decide if you need a person to come and offer sessions of some kind or meetings of some kind to your place regularly? How do you do that?
Well, a lot of it is through networking. So you asked before, how did we really kind of connect with our first veterans? And initially it was through the VA. And we spoke to the people that deal with veterans that are dealing with a lot of these issues we talk about. And they know a lot of other groups. And then we interconnect with some of these other groups. There's probably a good 2 dozen groups out there. There's the Hudson Valley Task Force, which is a group of veteran agencies. We're talking, probably 20, 30 different groups, nonprofits, government agencies that are all connected to veterans in one way or another. So we work collectively and we'll collaborate with some groups. Some groups say, hey, I can do this. And we'll say, oh, yeah, come on out to the farm and do it. It's helping, we're helping everybody out, and we're helping veterans primarily. And it's a lot easier to try to do it all yourself than to try to do it all yourself, to have some of the groups that are already doing this and interfacing and partnering with them.
Well, I would think that you need to have as many groups as you can, because as the people come and go, their needs change. You've got this group of people and they're on A, but then 60 days from now you may have a completely different population.
True.
And they may have other needs. So I would think that partnering with other agencies is extremely important for you.
It is, yeah. And each person that comes through, each veteran or service member that comes through the farm, whether they're staying there or not, have a different set of circumstances. Very interconnected in many ways, but different. Everyone's their own person. So it's, how do we see what is best fits for that individual, and we try to customize or connect them with the right resources.
How about a food pantry? Do you have a food pantry out there?
So we opened up a barbecue restaurant, my dad and I, in 2020, called Poppy's Smoke, and it's Texas style smoked barbecue. And my father and I are both of Italian descent, and so we know a lot with Italian food also. So we call it almost a Texas Italian style barbecue. But we raise a lot of vegetables in our garden, and we have a farmstead, and we've donated a bunch of food to the food pantries. But we're looking to do more on our farm and to bring more food in from other farms locally and try to create a central location so veterans that are in need of food can come in, and we'll probably work with more community members in that fashion as well. Because
I think a food pantry would be excellent.
I
mean, you're doing a lot of things, so you're stressed, but if you can get somebody to set it up and manage it for you, then it would be very easy for whatever people that you have coming could volunteer in the food pantry. And that is tremendous therapy.
It is.
Giving is important, but giving food away is a whole other category.
Well, we're preparing for next year as we develop more with our kitchen. We want to do more nutrition-based education and value for veterans. So there's a lot of veteran agencies that do like a lunch every, once a week or something. And we're thinking we want to do that and give a nice veteran lunch. Veterans come in, they eat for free, and we can have veterans working in the kitchen, volunteering that time and working together, and now you're breaking bread with people and you're cooking for people and giving, like you're saying, it's very rewarding.
That is, and it doesn't take, some jobs you've got to have a skill level that's going to carry through. But for a food pantry or a soup kitchen, you don't,
Right.
you know, you really don't, you can bring people in, they can come and
And
go.
you can do a lot of different things.
Right.
There's a lot of programming that could come with that,
Right.
and we're exploring those and working with groups to try to develop as many different things and collaborations that can give back to the community at large.
So how long have you been open now?
For the farm you're talking about with the veterans?
Yeah.
So we started 2 years in 2024. So about a year and a half ago, we started, and we've probably this year, 2025, we've had 500-600 people come through the farm, whether they're staying there or just popping in for a workshop. Or
How do you keep up?
that's a good
No,
question.
really.
I don't know. You know what? I think I think this is just my path. I think that, God's given me this ability to connect with people and come up with these ideas that people are very much attracted to and they want to learn about. More people people want to learn about gardening again. I mean, it seems as if I think we're coming at a critical moment in the history of humanity, for that matter, that like you can go into such a digital age to where you don't even need to leave the house anymore. You can just get an Uber Eats come in and drop
Right.
off food or something. You don't
Right.
have to go out and pick it up anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I find that to be extremely distracting and problematic because now people are just living on their phones. And for us, we're like, let's disconnect for a second and connect back to nature. Pulling tomatoes from the vines or handling some chickens and reconnecting to earth the way that us as a biological species, it's necessary for our I think our whole existence to do that. And things are getting faster and faster over the years, and information is coming in at such a great rate that people get so overwhelmed and stressed out, and then one thing leads to another, and then you get triggered from some traumatic issue, and we're trying to figure out a better way to manage that through holistic healing and therapeutic work. We work with a lot with plants, we work with a lot with herbs and teas, and just to try to help keep people healthy and just be content and happy with what the earth provides us in itself. Because nature is another. Nature can't really be compromised. I mean, it can be polluted, but I don't think you can compromise the natural spirit that nature and the outdoors and environment, the sun, the soil provides our species. So it's tremendously healing. There's been a number of papers and pilot programs that have shown this to be effective, not only for veterans but for everybody, really.
Yeah. Well, but I would think that you do need to stick with, this is
Absolutely.
the pond you're in.
It is.
It can help everybody, but people that are coming out of the military have some special needs.
They do.
I mean, that was a different planet. Active duty was a different planet.
So for me, it is a different planet. I mean, there's multiple levels, and for me, I was a National Guard member, so I did not see combat. I was in from 1996 to 2002. I was deployed down to Ground Zero after the events of 9/11, which was quite traumatic for me, as well as other service members. And you're for people that were in that environment, you're always kind of thinking like, all right, for the time that I was there and exposed to those toxic fumes and whatever else was in the air,
And exposed to the trauma of the event.
yeah, the event. I mean, I lived in Manhattan at the time. I saw the towers fall also, so it was like a combination of things. But so I got out in 2002. You know, then members of my unit ended up going out to Iraq in 2004. I didn't go with them, so you know, of course, there's also a level of survivor's guilt, which most service members have, which is like, I know a guy that got blown up, or a guy that lost a leg, and you know, who am I to complain, right? So you know, there's something there that is also extremely troubling and challenging for veterans to even recognize that it's okay that, you know, to not that you didn't go through that, but it's still okay to feel, you know, to really understand that you have these issues, to, you know, navigate through them and talk about them, and, you know, just find the healing necessary to continue on. So, it's interesting to talk to different veterans that have gone through different scenarios, both active and inactive, because a lot of them still cross over. I mean, even just going through the training process is quite, you know, for military training, basic training, boot camp, you know, that could be quite traumatic too, because you're thinking in a completely different way, you know. So I'm, you know, constantly hypervigilant. I don't want to say paranoid, but, you know, maybe, you know, trending towards that a little bit, just because of the way you're supposed to think now, and it stays with you for the rest of your life. So something service members and veterans can connect with and talk about, because, you know, that is our new makeup, I guess, you know, after service.
Well, it's training that you had, and if you absorbed it, then it is with you.
Right.
You know, for the rest of your life.
Sure.
And that reality, people like to pretend that it does not happen.
Right.
But in reality, it happens for, you know, if you go to college and you become an accountant or a physician, or whatever you become, you see life through that prism.
Correct. So these
Forever.
Forever, and you're, look, for good and for bad. You
Yeah.
know, it's something that I do it all over again, because there's a lot of value to it that I find very rewarding. It's helped create me as a man on this, you know, and do the things that I do in my community, and be involved and become an integral part. So some of that training helped with that. So I take it, and I take it for what it is and what it was, and I appreciate it and have gratitude that, you know, I've been blessed to you know, do what I can do today, and you know, that's all you can really think about.
Now, are you the only farm on the planet that does this?
There have been a number of programs out there. When my family and I started talking about doing this, we started reviewing a couple of different things, and there's farms in California, Hawaii, the Midwest, that also do some of this type of work. It might be a little bit different than what we're doing, but it's very similar. And then there's smaller farms. There's like a horse farm that does the healing with horses, be it with veterans or anybody else that might have post-traumatic stress and other other challenges. So there are out there, and I think collectively, you know, our goal and our mission is to really provide that holistic space for people to just be able to decompress, but also connecting farmers with veterans, as you know, as farmers age out. I mean, the average age of a farmer is like 60 years old.
Right.
And like these big corporate farms coming in, and they're trying to push all the small scale farms out and create lab meats and all that type of stuff. You know, a lot of veterans that are interested in this farming space, we look at it, we see it as a national security matter, because food in our country is a national security matter. People need to eat, and they need to eat healthy and right, and a lot of people like to connect with that aspect of it too. Coming back as a veteran and serving the country again, just from a food security level, is quite fulfilling and rewarding. Whether you're cooking the food and giving it to people, or growing it and giving it to people, or creating a small business out of it so you can do your own thing and not have to worry about going to the factory or moving boxes around like at a warehouse, which seems to be a lot of the jobs out there today.
Have you become a 501c3?
Right now we're working on our paperwork as we speak on creating the 501c3 for the Veterans Farmstead, which would be located at our farm. But our goal is to open source this idea and be able to have this be implemented on farms all across the country, and have veterans come in, help other farmers, learn how to farm. As farmers get older, they can't do as much on the farm anymore, and to prevent that farm from getting chopped up into housing tracts, let's connect veterans and others, for that matter, to get into farming and to help that farmer, continue on, and maybe pass the baton on, and then start growing more foods. We believe in a lot of local economy type scale stuff, which is here in the Hudson Valley, for instance, we have some of the best growing conditions in the world.
Oh.
So for us to be able, we can really, if we can really boost up more farms and support farms, along with veterans being involved, I think it could be a huge win for the community at large. We won't have to worry about shipping blueberries all the way from California here, which, to me, there's a lot of CO2 that gets released. Your almond farms out in California, I'm not really into the almond farming stuff because it's stressful on bees, it's stressful on the
But it's fine out there.
It's fine out there, yeah.
Yeah.
But we can do our own thing in this region, so.
How did you, at what point did you begin to realize that you needed to do something? We talked about that briefly in the beginning.
Sure.
But at what point did you say, listen, this is a path to go down? Where did that idea come from?
I'd probably say that it stemmed from COVID. So in the midst of COVID, I was living in Beacon, New York at the time. I've been living there for 12, maybe 10, 12 years by that time. And my family had the farm. My dad's been farming out there. We've been talking about doing a farming transition over time as my folks get older. But I would go out there, like with all the craziness of COVID, I'm like, I'm just gonna go out to the farm and just get in the garden and try to forget about all of this.
Yeah.
I don't need to turn on the TV. I don't need to
Right.
watch the map of how many people are dying all over the place. I'm like, that's too stress. I was just finding that to be extremely stressful for me. And my dad too. So we started getting into the garden, and we would just be out there all day, and we would forget all about it. And I'm like, this is so healing. And then where we're located with the views and the nature, the birds and everything, we were just like, man, we want to offer this space and what we're doing. I mean, the Shawangunk Mountains are extremely spiritual at so many levels, Mohawk and Minnewaska, and we just feel that energy and that positive frequency of life on our property, and we're like, how can we bring this to others? And then it just kind of, we started working with some veterans, and my dad and I have always gone to veteran events, and then we heard, then one thing pushed.
When you say you went to veterans events, does that mean that you were going to the VA hospital, or does that mean that you were going to VFW? I mean, what does, if there's one veterans place, there's hundreds of thousands.
There are. So I mean, the VA is one spot.
I know, but you were going, and somehow you ended going going down this path. And I'm just
Sure.
trying to figure out
We at
how
first
that happened.
At first, we would start hearing about, of course, there's 22 service members or veterans a day that commit suicide in this country.
Yeah.
It's terrible, and it's post-traumatic stress issues, and it's people veterans that don't feel like they can continue, and we would hear about this, and it's something that touches both my father and I tremendously because we're veterans, and we look at this, and then we were hearing, and then the housing crisis really started to really blow up, and we're hearing veterans are on the streets and they can't find housing, and we're noticing we're having a drop because of the Airbnb, so we're like, let's start working with homeless veterans if we can. So that was really the first step into it, and then it turned into this whole mental health aspect. And we would get other veterans that would come in, and ones that would just hang out with our friends, people that we know, and we would just sit under the pergola, and we would talk about this and that, and we would go to some coffee hours with some of the other veteran agencies, and we're like, man, maybe we could integrate some of these mental health benefits for veterans as well here at our farm. We have the view, we have the space, and some people might not need the housing aspect of it, but they could definitely use the healing.
They could definitely look at the show and gonks. Yes.
Yeah.
So they could come out there and enjoy an afternoon, and then you developed.
Right.
Do you have like a specific meal every week?
We don't. We've been.
I mean, you're doing so much, but I'm just curious about
it's
that.
as we get more volunteers and staff.
Do you
we're really interested.
Listen.
Sure.
You just said something amazing. Now wait a minute. If you have how could somebody connect with you?
You can connect with me. You can send me an email directly at justin@vetfarms.org. That's VETFARMS.org. If you want to connect with us, great. Of course, most of the American Legions, and there's a Veteran Resource Center in Saugerties that just opened up 2 years ago. The National Center for Veteran Reintegration out of Saugerties. We work with them as well, but they have a lot of resources up there too. They do boat building and writing workshops, and it's we're working on putting a garden up there and everything as well to try to help maybe another food drop for natural foods that are being grown in the region. So working with these different groups, a lot of them love what we're doing. They're trying to do some of the same stuff. It's been very serendipitous, where you're kind of talking to somebody else that's doing very similar type things in a different area, and it's like, all right, well, let's work together, and then we can really create a bigger.
So you have found brothers in
And sisters, yeah.
in the crowd.
Absolutely. And a lot of them are looking for something different. A lot of them are just looking for community too. Because with COVID, there's still a very significant level of isolation that's out there. And people that were isolated before COVID with maybe some of these challenges, and then COVID hits, it's like you're just really setting them back even further. So we've been able to help, get some of these veterans out and about, and just come, and just kind of hang out with people, have a meal one day, or or talk about plants and different types of holistic herbs that we work with to try to help get people excited. Also try to, we've also come across a lot of veterans that are on a lot of medications, and the medications are a whole nother level of toxins to a degree. I understand people need certain things, but I think there's a lot of over medicating going on. And we've helped a lot of veterans be able to get off of oxy and some of these various medicines that maybe the VA might be giving them, or other doctors, and getting them into more of a health conscious eating. turmeric and some of these herbs and roots that are grown naturally, within our community, and they've been able. I had one guy that was on 45 different medications before he got to us. Now he's on none because he's eating the right stuff, he's staying healthy, he's staying active, just sitting out in the sun. Is tremendous.
The thing is that it's not just the people who are in the military who are taking too many meds and not eating right. I think that is all over.
It's all over. It's all over. I mean, like I said, I'm 50. When I was in high school, I knew maybe a couple of kids that were on some medication. Now it's almost like every kid's on medications. And they're on for like 10, 15 years, and they're still in high school. And I'm like,
what happens when they're adult?
Well, I would, my concerns would be like liver and kidney failure. I mean, you're talking about the two areas of the body that help detoxify these things that have to be processed. I mean, they have to be processed. No matter what you put in your body, it's got to be processed through one thing or another. And synthetic drugs are definitely have shown to have some significant issues down the road. So we try to come up with some of these other healing aspects, and we work with our doctors, and some of the things we do is help guys get reconnected with the VA and talk to the doctor and say, hey, we're looking at doing take a more of a holistic approach to healing and treating some of these issues. Some issues we might not be able to do. If someone's a diabetic, I'm not necessarily going to tell them to get off their diabetes medication.
Listen,
but there are options.
If diabetes is all you're going to try to deal with from the standpoint of a farm and the culinary, that is huge.
I mean, there are ways you can reverse the effects, but I'm not a doctor. I just, I try to show veterans and others what's been beneficial for me and my family, and what have had good, positive outcomes. So, we're more spiritual advisors as anything, than anything. So it's been very rewarding to share some of those things, and also see people have incredible, better outcomes than having to rely on the medications.
How does art fit into this? Does art fit into this?
Absolutely.
The Hudson Valley's very arty.
It is. So my stepmother is a member of the Walk Hill Art Studio in Montgomery. We also offer up our farm in the summertime to her community, her group that has a arts class.
Oh, listen, we just turned into pumpkins. As soon as that comes up, it's all over.
Is that a 2 minute? Is that 2 minute warning? Okay.
So please spend the
Sure.
last 2 minutes telling people your name, how they can reach you, what things they might want to buy, where you're at. Give
Sure.
the contact information now.
Well, again, thank you for having me on, Thurman. And getting this word out is critical and important. But you could always. My name is Justin Riccobono. My family, we have a farm called the Patchwork Quilt Farm, and we're running a program called the Veterans Farmstead over there. And if you're a veteran, or other veterans that are in need or looking for something to do, we have a community, and even people that want to support and donate their time, maybe volunteer, help out. We're a community as a large, not just veterans, but everybody for that matter. And you can reach us at Justin@vetfarms.org. That's VETFARMS.org. Or you can give me a call on my cell phone, which is area code 845-202-2398. And we're located in Gardiner, New York, 2098 Brunswick Road. We have a 5-acre farm with a bed and breakfast, and now it's a healing center for veterans. And come on out. We do some kitchen stuff and catering and culinary work as well. So with veterans and it's
Can you
been very
use
rewarding.
volunteers now?
We could always use volunteers. Always. You know, we're trying to develop more of the farm. We have a couple programs. We're taking an old barn and we're converting it into a holistic healing center with a library and a place where veterans can get haircuts and also have some really great space for fitness and relaxation. We do a lot with frequencies, hot tubs, and cold plunges.
So what you're saying is that you've got opportunity, opportunity, opportunity.
Yes, bring it on.
Absolutely.
Come on out.
Thank you very much, Miss Ellen. This was great.
Thank you,
This
Miss
was
Ellen.
wonderful. We haven't been able to do this in weeks. I'm so grateful.
Fantastic, yeah.